Hey everyone, it's Matt again doing another second video of the day, and referring back to the first one. I did the Beatle cover songs ranked in order of preference, and just a side note, when I said that I'm not huge on cover versions, I meant bands that generally write their own songs doing cover versions. I didn't necessarily mean people like Elvis or Frank Sinatra that don't write songs, but that's neither here nor there. If you're interested in that, you can go watch that video. What? So yeah, it's been a while since I've done a Beach Boys record review because I'm wanting to do them in order of release. And while I've got some of the albums upcoming, the next two albums in the order of release I don't have yet, so I need to get those and try to get those pretty soon and listen to those and work up reviews on them. I don't want to jump ahead and out of order, which, I mean, I guess it wouldn't really matter if I did or not, but I don't know, stickler for that, I guess. Anyway, went to Half Price Books and Records a couple of weeks ago and just happened to be passing by and pulled in to take a look around. I hadn't been in one in quite a while, and don't know if they have those everywhere, but they are all over Texas, and it's kind of a chain used bookstore deal. And so, yeah, I was actually interested in looking at some DVDs and got in there and was shocked because the DVDs, the used DVDs, the prices they're charging, you could go buy the damn things brand new at Best Buy or Amazon or whatever for same price or even less in some cases. So I don't know where the half price part fits into there, but and I looked around at the records and CDs, and they didn't have a whole lot there, um, really. But I went back, wandered back by the books, the music section in the books, and saw this. So I pulled it out, and then I saw that, and I thought I had $40 for that. But then I looked at the front, and I don't know if you're going to be able to read that, but it says $4.99, and I thought, well, was thinking maybe they made a mistake in labeling this, but I even went up to the counter and asked the guy, I said, "Is that right? $5 for this?" He goes, "Yeah." So I thought, okay, I'll buy this for $5, and I really wasn't expecting much. It's called The Beach Boys in Concert, and it came out in I want to say like 2013 or so, 2014, yeah, 2013. So it lists every Beach Boys concert as to the point that's known. There's a few of them that he says they may have played a concert on this date, but wasn't able to verify. But it lists every Beach Boys concert from the very beginning, from 1961. I think it even has a few, might even have a few little appearances before 1961, but from 1961 all the way up through the 2012 50-year reunion tour, which, you know, sounded on the face of it is just show you an idea. There's a list of concerts, some of the concerts in 1967. That's not all of them, but that's some of them. So I thought, this would just be a list of the dates and the places they played, and that didn't sound terribly exciting. But it's a big, thick hardcover book that had come out, and 40 bucks, uh, retail for $40, and I figured for $5 it's worth picking up, and it's got a lot of great pictures in here and memorabilia and graphics, and so just for the pictures alone, I thought it'd be worth getting. I didn't know that I'd be all that exciting and just reading dates and concert locations. It was kind of cool to look up the. I saw them in 1982 and 1983. Saw them in Chicago in '83 and Fort Worth in '82. So I got to look up the dates of those concerts, which was kind of neat. And I thought that would be really about it, other than just looking at the pictures and stuff. But boy, was I wrong. What a great book this turned out to be. And for $5, what a bargain. Here's a good picture of them. There's Mike Love looking like an idiot as usual, but there's the rest of the band looking pretty cool. And a lot of early picks and picks all the way through all the way through 2012, and just a really good book because it's got, in addition to in addition to the concert dates and locations, it's got sort of a biography of the band that runs down the side here, and a couple of other uh, couple of where it's just full pages of bio stuff, and pretty in depth for a book like this. It's not probably not the most in depth biography of the band, because the focus is, of course, again on the concerts they played, the dates and locations. But like I said, I thought it would just be a list of, they played here on this date in '64 and here on this date, but it gives the opening, or the bands that they opened for, that opened for them, and some entries are just you can see right there. It just says that on Saturday, October 17th, 1964, they played Long Beach Arena in Long Beach, California. But others have a little more detail, fun stuff or interesting stuff that happened at the concert. And a lot of times it'll be a song list of what they played. A lot of times it'll be how much money they made. A lot of times it'll be how they got along with the opening act or didn't get along with their opening act, and so forth and so on. And just a lot of fun little tidbits and information. A lot of stuff I didn't know about band. Book covers the trajectory of the band's career from incredible hits and fame early on, up through Smile, up through kind of getting shuffled aside and forgotten, up to getting relegated to an oldies act, through all the sad things, the death of Dennis Wilson and Carl Wilson, Brian Wilson's drug and mental and physical challenges and troubles. All that's in here. But it's really interesting, really fun if you're a Beach Boys fan. This is definitely worth picking up, especially if you got a half-price books by wherever you live. Might check out. They might have some in there for $5. They had 3 copies of this at the store that I stopped in and looked around at, and so like I said, just a lot of fun, a lot of great pictures, a lot of great information. I thought some of the cool stuff was, and I'll just go through some of this real quick. If you're not a Beach Boys fan, you can turn off the video and not waste your time here. But yeah, so I mean, there were, and I forgot which one it was. One show they played, I was reading about. They did their show, and then after the show, they went somewhere to get drinks and get something to eat. And it was some little club, restaurant, whatever, in whatever town they were in, and happened to be a local band playing on stage. And the Beach Boys walk in and order their food and drinks, and the local band's like, "Oh wow, it's the Beach Boys," and they get to talking, and next thing you know, the Beach Boys are up on stage in this little hole-in-the-wall club out in the middle of nowhere and playing with the band, and they do an impromptu concert. There's another thing like that where they did a concert and the concert was over and the band left, but for whatever reason Dennis Wilson hung around, and some of the people that had gone to the concert hung around. I don't know how many, 40, 50 people just happened to be hanging around, and he just hung around and was sitting on stage playing the piano and singing songs. And so 40, 50 fans got a private concert by Dennis Wilson after the official Beach Boys concert. Kind of neat stuff like that. We'll see here. There's some of these is just amazing. The people that they played shows with, at some of the places they played shows with, is just really kind of cool and neat. They never played with the Beatles. They did, of course, they knew them later on, but they did get to visit with the Beatles at some point when they were playing a show in Seattle and the Beatles were playing a show in Washington State, or vice versa. They got to go up and hang out with them, but they never played. They did open, or they did play shows where maybe it was the Rolling Stones and the Kinks opened for them in the early 60s. Stuff like that's kind of cool. Here's a show, for instance, on August 30th of 1963 at the Fox Theater in Brooklyn. It's the Beach Boys Also on the bill is Little Stevie Wonder, Benny King, Gene Pitney, The Miracles, The Shirelles, The Drifters, The DeVelles, Jay and the Americans, The Chiffons, The Angels, and Randy and the Rainbows. Not sure who they are, but man, what a show that would have been to see. Uh, Look on the next day, on August 31st, they play a show in. They had to fly from New York to Los Angeles to play the show the next day. They played a show with the Orlons, Jan and Dean, Johnny Fortune, Ray Sharp, know him, Marvin Gaye, Righteous Brothers, Darlene Love, Wayne Newton's kind of weird, Little Eva, The Cookies, Dee Dee Sharp, uh, Jackie DeShannon. She was pretty good looking back in those days. Um, so yeah, pretty cool. On the like I said, if you're not a Beach Boys fan, it's probably going to bore you to tears, but I just kind of going through a couple of few highlights that I thought were kind of neat in here. If you're a Beach Boys fan, definitely get the book, and you'll want to read. There's a whole lot of, just too many tidbits to cover all of them, because this is a, what is this thing? It's like 407 pages, so it's pretty lengthy, pretty full of, packed full of information. Um, yeah, what did I have this marked for? They played May 1st, 1963. The Beach Boys played Kittyland Roller Rink in Wichita, Kansas. 1,783 fans saw the group play at the roller rink, so that's kind of a cool deal. A little more high profile than that was on February 16th of 63. The Beach Boys played a show in Los Angeles Sports Arena with also on the bill was Fabian, Bobby Vinton, and Margaret and Jane Mansfield. Can't beat that. And others, it says there. On what is that? Okay, Pandora. Oh, November 3rd of 1962, they played Leonard's Department Store. So um, can't beat that. That's the big time, I guess. And there was another thing on this. They played, and I'm not sure what he did, and I can't find that one. So here we go. Yeah, this was kind of fun. I thought it was pretty cool. October 27th, 62, they played the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles with a pretty big cast of people. Doodles Weaver, I have no idea who that is either. The Castells, Billy Vaughn, Shelley Fabrers, Chuck Connors, the rifleman. I don't know if he sang or just got up and shot some people. Bobby V was there, the Rivingtons, Jackie DeShannon again, Soupy Sales, the Leon Russell Quintet, Annette Funicello, Troy Donahue, Jane Mansfield again, Joey Bishop, Donna Lauren, don't know who she is, and Tony Dow, who is Wally from Leave It to Beaver. I don't know if he sang or just walked out on stage and don't know what he did there, but so the Beach Boys and Tony Dow, you really can't beat that, I wouldn't think. Just really cool stuff here, and I'm glad I picked this book up because I almost passed it by. But like I said, I thought for $5, even if it wasn't any good, you couldn't go wrong. Harris Department Store Teen Fashion Show. They were hired to play somewhere back here, and you probably don't really care about the date, so we'll move on to the next thing, which is September of 1962. They were hired to play the 17th birthday party for Milton Berle's daughter, Victoria Berle. They're somebody that worked for Capitol was friends with Milton Berle, and so that's how they got to play this. Uncle Milty surprised us with $20 each and told us we did a great job, David Marks says. So that was probably pretty cool. That's probably big money for him in 1962. Yeah, so I know you're probably getting bored. December 3rd, 62, USC pep rally at USC. The Beach Boys, our good friend Doodles Weaver again, and Ernest Borgnine, Ernest Borgnine and the Beach Boys. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? And then on January in 1963, the University of Arizona's Zeta Beta Tau fraternity hired the Beach Boys to play their fraternity party. I guess they didn't cost that much then because they were just starting out. But yeah, it's a great book, great pictures. Some of the other people they played with, said the Kinks and the Rolling Stones, Roy Orbison, the Grateful Dead, Chicago, Joan Jett, Porter Wagner. I never would have thought those two together, but I guess it probably worked. Um, and one memorable concert on 4th of July 1986 when Beach Boys were joined on stage by Jimmy Page and Mr. T. A pity the fool didn't see that show. Mr. T played drums, apparently. Who knew? I guess the Beach Boys did. Grateful Dead, like I said, they did some shows with them. And so, yeah, if you're a Beach Boys fan, you'll want to be checking this out. And it's also, I mean, because kind of what I found as I'm going through and doing the reviews and listening to their records, because, like I said 100 times, I knew the hits and knew Pet Sounds, but I didn't know much about their albums after that. Uh, it's kind of a crying shame because they did make as much as jagoff as Mike Love is. Even he did make a concerted effort in the early '70s. Because here's the thing, as I've said over and over, you got all that great early '60s music up through and including Pet Sounds. Then after that, they kind of fall off of the radar and get forgotten and considered squares and yesterday's news and has been type band. And then later on in the late '70s into the '80s and into today, to be considered just an oldies act. And but they did make these incredible, great, wonderful albums from 1967 up through 1973, really up through 1977 with Love You. I haven't gone past that and listening to the albums, so we'll get to that in the reviews. But up to Love You, great albums that just didn't chart, didn't get a lot of airplay by and large. I mean, there were a few songs that did, but mostly didn't. Mostly were ignored, mostly are forgotten now. Don't show up on the radio station anymore. So there's all this 5, 6, 7, whatever it is, great albums that are sadly forgotten. They did make a really concerted effort in the early to mid '70s to push their new albums, push their new songs, to push past that '60s hit mentality that people thought of them to a little bit of a success, but it all kind of fell apart for reasons this book kind of goes into as to why they just eventually threw up their hands and devolved into being a kind of a Vegas greatest hits review band. And sad as that is, that's how it is. But so you get all that, you get a lot of neat information. It's not just dates of where they played. Got some of their interactions with bands like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. Ringo Starr, I think one of those 4th of July shows he played with them for most of the show. I don't think it's the same one that Mr. T and Jimmy Page showed up at. I think it was the one the year before. Yeah, $5, you can't beat it. I don't know about the $40, but if you can find this at half price by your house and it's $5 and you're a Beach Boys fan, you don't want to be without that one. And that's all I got to say today.